Asterisk, asterisk. Why your survival skills are sabotaging your success. Asterisk, asterisk. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. And I am your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft and dating, and loving every second of it. Today brings up, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Deanera Lewis, a visionary leader, a truth teller, and a woman who is actively redesigning what success looks like for Black professionals and entrepreneurs. Deanera is not just talking about rest and boundaries as nice ideas, she is building them into the very foundation of how she leads, how she serves, and how she shows up in the world. Her work is a living testament to the truth that softness is not the opposite of ambition. It is the infrastructure for higher, more sustainable success. She is changing lives, reshaping industries, and proving that when Black women choose themselves first, they create impact that ripples across generations. And today, I want to share with you the insights, the wisdom, and the revolutionary perspective that Deanera brought to our conversation, because what she shared has the power to change how you think about your career, your business, and your life. Let me start with something that might surprise you. For so long, Vix, we have been told that if we want to succeed, especially as Black women, we have to be strong. We have to hustle harder. We have to prove ourselves over and over again. We have to carry the weight of our families, our communities, our teams, and still show up smiling, or still show up flawless, still show up unbreakable. And for many of us, that has been our survival strategy. It kept us employed, it kept us respected, it kept us safe in systems that were not designed for us. But here's the truth that Deanera and I unpacked together: the very survival skills that got you here, the overworking, the people pleasing, the overfunctioning, those same skills can sabotage you at your next level. Let me say that again. The survival skills that got you here can sabotage you at your next level. Because what worked when you were trying to prove yourself, what worked when you were trying to survive, does not work when you are trying to thrive. And this is where the soft girl era comes in. Your soft girl era is not about doing less with your life. It is not about lowering your standards or abandoning your ambition. It is about learning new skills, delegating, asking for support, honoring your capacity, and allowing joy to be a metric of success, not just revenue or titles. It is about outgrowing the version of you who had to be on all the time and stepping into a version of you who knows that rest and boundaries and emotional wellness are not luxuries you earn after you have burned yourself out. They are business assets and leadership strategies that you build your success around from the start. Daenerys shared something with me that I have not been able to stop thinking about. She said, your nervous system is a business asset. Think about that for a moment. Your nervous system, your ability to regulate your emotions, to stay grounded under pressure, to make decisions from a place of clarity instead of panic. That is not just self care, that is strategy. When you are constantly running on adrenaline, when you are always in fight or flight mode, when you are operating from a place of exhaustion and resentment, you cannot make the best decisions for your business or your career. You cannot see opportunities clearly. You cannot lead with vision. You cannot attract the right people, the right clients, the right collaborations. Your nervous system is the foundation of everything you build. And if that foundation is shaky, everything else will be too. And yet, so many of us have been taught to ignore our nervous systems. We have been taught to push through, to keep going, to be strong. But here's what Deanera and I want you to understand: being the strong one is not always a compliment. For so many Black women and Black professionals, strong has secretly meant exploitable, always available, and never allowed to break. It has meant that people expect you to carry more, to give more, to sacrifice more, without ever asking if you are okay. And when you finally do break, when you finally do say, I cannot do this anymore, you are seen as weak, as ungrateful, as not cut out for it. That is not strength. That is exploitation dressed up as a compliment. So, what does it look like to redefine strength? What does it look like to see softness as radical self respect and as a way of saying, my humanity is not optional for my success? Let me share with you some real examples of what this looks like in practice. Because this is not just theory, this is happening right now with real Black women leaders and entrepreneurs who are choosing a different way. In the UK, there is a woman named LeAnne Dolce who saw something that the rest of the startup world was ignoring. She saw Black entrepreneurs, especially Black women, building brilliant businesses in complete isolation. They were hustling through systemic barriers alone. They were constantly performing, constantly overworking, just to be seen as credible in spaces that were never designed for them. Traditional startup ecosystems demanded that they sacrifice rest, boundaries, and psychological safety just to get a seat at the table. And Lily said, no more. She founded Black Founder Studio, a community interest business that intentionally centers Black entrepreneurs and creates a space where they can be seen, affirmed, and supported. She built programs that guide founders from idea to launch, prioritizing relationship building, mentorship, and strategic support instead of the sink or swim model that burns people out before they even begin. And what happened? Black Founder Studio became a dedicated network supporting early stage Black founders, most of them Black women, giving them access to resources, guidance, and community that reduce isolation and the pressure to overwork alone. This is what it looks like when you design success around softness. Lily did not tell Black entrepreneurs to work harder or hustle more. She created a softer, more nurturing ecosystem where they could bring their full selves, their softness, their vulnerability, their ambition, without constantly justifying their presence. And the result? These entrepreneurs are building businesses more sustainably with less burnout because they have community, they have support, and they have permission to rest. And that brings me to the second key insight from my conversation with Deanera. Community and boundaries are the new currency. Success in this season is not meant to be carried alone. For Black leaders and entrepreneurs, community is not just emotional support, it is strategy, it is referrals, it is collaborations, it is accountability to not abandon yourself for the vision. And boundaries are how you protect that community and your own energy. The rooms you are in, the people you build with, and the limits you enforce are as important to your success as any business plan. There is a powerful movement happening right now where high achieving Black women are trading burnout and grind culture for lives that feel just as good as they look. In one conversation, a leader named Charmaine Green broke down how boundaries, rest, and community support are essential tools for sustainable achievement, especially for Black professionals. She talked about how to integrate emotional wellness, intentional rest, and support systems into careers and businesses, making softness actionable rather than abstract. And what happened? Women started to see their nervous systems, their emotional needs, and their boundaries as business critical, not optional. They started to challenge the narrative that success must feel hard and depleting, and they started to replace it with one centered on joy, rest, and alignment. This is the power of community. When you are surrounded by people who are also choosing softness, who are also setting boundaries, who are also prioritizing rest, it becomes easier for you to do the same. You stop feeling like you are the only one who is tired, the only one who is struggling, the only one who wants something different. You start to see that there is a whole movement of Black women who are redefining success on their own terms, and you are not alone. And then there is the work of Rhonda Parker, a visionary leader who sat down to talk about how Black women professionals and entrepreneurs can redesign success by centering rest, boundaries, and emotional wellness. Rhonda discussed how to design careers and businesses that support both ambition and ease, including setting firmer boundaries, restructuring workloads, and intentionally building in rest and recovery. She emphasized community as currency, encouraging women to cultivate support networks that share resources, emotional labor, and practical help. And the conversation provided a concrete blueprint for Black women to rethink how they structure their work and lives with rest and emotional wellness at the center rather than at the margins. What all of these examples have in common is this: they treat softness as strategy. They treat rest, boundaries, and community as essential infrastructure for success, not as rewards you earn after you have already burned yourself out. And that is the shift that Deanera and I want you to make. We want you to stop asking, can I afford to slow down? And start asking, can I afford to keep building success on exhaustion and resentment? Because the truth is, you cannot. Not if you want to lead and build with longevity. Not if you want to create success that feels as good as it looks. Not if you want to protect your mind, your body, and your time so you can show up fully for the people and the work that matter most. So here's what I want you to take away from this conversation. First, softness is a strategy, not a step back. For Black professionals and entrepreneurs, rest, boundaries, and emotional honesty are not signs that you are losing your edge. They are what keep you creative, clear, and capable of leading over the long haul. Second, survival skills do not always translate into your next level. You are allowed to outgrow the version of you who had to be on all the time. And third, community and boundaries are the new currency. Success in this season is not meant to be carried alone. Now, I want to leave you with something that will stay with you long after you finish listening. I want you to choose one place in your professional or entrepreneurial life where you have been wearing strong as armor. Maybe it is your business, your job, your family roles, and ask yourself, what would change if I treated my softness here as a strategy instead of a weakness? This week, take one small action in that area that honors your soft girl era. Set a new boundary, say no to one thing, delegate one task, or schedule real rest, and notice how your body, your creativity, and your spirit respond. Because here's the truth: your soft girl era is not the opposite of ambition, it is infrastructure for higher, more sustainable success. It is the deep exhale from the superwoman script. It is the quiet but powerful return to softness, rest, self trust, and radical joy. And you deserve it, not someday, not after you have proven yourself one more time, not after you have earned it. You deserve it now. So I'm asking you, what are you willing to release? What version of strong are you ready to outgrow? What would your life look like if you built it around softness from the very beginning? These are not rhetorical questions. These are invitations, invitations to step into a new way of being, a new way of leading, a new way of living. And the world is waiting for you to say yes. Softness is not weakness, it is your most powerful competitive advantage. Now go claim it.